Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I'm really excited to do. I am going to be revisiting my 2018 beauty favorites video. So at the end of the year, I typically post a big old recap video of the favorite products that I tried throughout the year. I do also do a worst of, so I will be doing that as well. But as I'm preparing my 2019 list, I do also like to revisit the prior year, just go through my list, see do I still have everything in my collection, what have I decluttered, what do I still love, what do I not love so much anymore. And it was interesting going through my 2018 video. I feel like my preferences have changed quite a bit from the products that I've mentioned, so it's always really fun to come back and revisit, whether it be favorites videos. I just revisited my Sephora hauls from last year as well, so I will link that video down below, and of course I will link my 2018 favorites if you do want to check that one out. But we definitely have a lot of products to get through today, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. All right, so like I mentioned, we have a lot to chat about, so I'm going to try to get through each product as quickly as I can. First up, I had my primer. I mentioned the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. This has been a favorite primer of mine pretty much since I started using it. I do have the mini here. It was in my Shop to My Stash bag from last month, and it just has a couple uses left. I'm just gonna use it up until I can't use it anymore. I did just finish filming this look also. It is with my Shop My Stash bag for December, so this was Friday's video. If you want to catch that video, and the topic in there is revisiting my 9 brands I want to try in 2019 video. I give an update as I do this makeup look, so that will also be linked down below. But that was the one primer that I mentioned. And then for foundations, it was really interesting to see my top 4 picks with this one. So one of my favorites that really I kind of fell in love with this foundation right when it released is from Nars. This is the Natural Radiant Long Wear Foundation. I actually got this sent to me in PR from Nars, and I got some lighter shades sent, and I loved it so much I actually purchased my summer shade as well so I could wear it all year round. It is a really nice foundation. It's very long wearing, it's very natural looking on the skin, and it still gives a lot of really good coverage. So I still do really like this foundation, but honestly, I feel like 2019 was like the year of foundations. There was so many that came out. There was so many foundation reviews that I was trying to do that I feel like I haven't been giving this one a lot of love recently, but it's still a really nice foundation. There was just so many new foundation releases. It was kind of crazy. An affordable option that I mentioned was this one from Rimmel. This is the Lasting Finish 25-Hour Breathable Foundation. I feel like I do not hear anybody talk about this foundation even still. I still really do like it. I was just wearing it the other day, and it kind of reminded me how much I really did enjoy this foundation. It's a little bit tricky actually to find, like especially when I go to link it, whether I'm talking about it or wearing it. It's almost a little bit harder for me to find. I have found it on like the Target website, but I don't know why that is. This used to have like a red cap, and I think they reformulated even too, and a lot of people who loved that original foundation don't love this one. I never tried that one, so I don't have anything to compare it to, and I think it's really nice, especially for an affordable option. It's a medium coverage foundation. The wear time is really great on it, and it's also more of a natural finish, which I do appreciate. This one has your large doe foot applicator, which isn't always my favorite, but you do get quite a bit of product on there. I really like my Wander Beauty foundation, which will probably be in my 2019 favorites, spoiler alert, and it also has the doe foot, but it doesn't pick up a lot of product, so I feel like I'm kind of continually putting it on, whereas this one you get quite a bit on that applicator. I still think that this is a really nice one. I'd still really recommend it. I think it's a good one. And then I also mentioned from Cover FX, this is the Powerplay foundation. This one has the squeeze tube in it. I don't know if I'd really consider this a favorite anymore. I have a lighter shade, and I never went out and purchased a darker shade, which a lot of times that's how I can tell if I really love a foundation, is when I have like multiple shades of it, because sometimes I don't do the best at like trying to lighten or dark, like I don't know, I'm not the best at that always, so it just can be better for me to just purchase the correct shade, if you will. So I only have the shade P40, which is a little bit lighter, but I still like the foundation. I still think that it's nice. I just don't know if I would consider it a favorite anymore. And then the final foundation that I mentioned is from ColourPop. This is their No Filter foundation. Again, still like this foundation, but I don't think I would consider it a favorite anymore. I've done a couple reviews on it and chatted about it throughout some of my videos this year. And I think kind of one of the biggest negatives about it that I found is that it's not the most long wearing. After a few hours of wear, like, I don't know, your 6 or 8 hour mark, it starts to wear away or just start to look not quite as nice on the skin. So a lot of times, if I'm especially like going out somewhere or whatnot, I want to pick a foundation that is very, very long wearing, and this one I just don't think the wear time is there. It still has a really nice finish to it. It has a nice coverage and all of that, but I just wish the wear time was a little bit longer. So I had 4 concealers that I talked about. One was the NYX HD Studio Photogenic Concealer. I still like this concealer. I think it kind of got dethroned, especially I feel like towards the end of 2019, there was some really fantastic affordable concealers that came out. I recently posted a video all about my 2019 affordable favorites, so if you've missed that one, I will also link it. If you love affordable makeup, drugstore makeup, that one has all of my recommendations in there. And I just feel like it probably got dethroned by some of them. It's still a nice one, it's still a good one, but probably not a favorite anymore. And then I also mentioned from Ulta Beauty, this is the Full Coverage Liquid Concealer. I have this on today because I brought it into my Shop My Stash bag. I realized after I filmed my affordable favorites, someone mentioned in there about the Ulta Beauty concealer, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't mention that one, and I really, really like this concealer. I think it's like $9. It's the Ulta Beauty brand. It's nice and full coverage. It's a really good concealer. So because I forgot about it, I was so shameful of myself. I put it in my Shop My Stash bag so I would get a lot of use out of it, but still definitely would recommend this one from Ulta. And then I had 2 high-end concealers that are still definitely favorites of mine. We have the Jouer Essential High Coverage Liquid Concealer. I really fell in love with this. Almost from the first time I tried it. I still think that it's great. And then of course the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. This is, I probably would say, my favorite concealer right now. I just wear it so often. I have the shade Nude or Light Beige. I can kind of go back and forth between the two, but I mean, seriously, you guys have heard me talk about this one so much. Still definitely a favorite of my book. It was really funny when I got to my powder, my powder section, because I feel like these are the powders that I just have recommended the entire year. Like, not much has really changed here. I mentioned the Covergirl Vitalist Healthy Powder. I mean, this was also in my affordable favorites. I've hit pan on this one. I've recommended it so much. Really nice option, especially for an affordable powder. I did also mention from Hourglass, this is the Veil powder, the Veil Translucent Powder. I have the mini. This is probably my favorite powder. I've done a bunch of ranking videos throughout the year too, so I will leave my ranking playlist down below if you want to catch any of those. I've ranked my concealers, I've ranked my setting powders, I've ranked quite a few products in there, and the Hourglass, real nice product. And then the other 2 that I mentioned was the Lawless Beauty Seal the Deal and the Milk Makeup Blur powder. Again, just really cracked me up to see these powders because I just recommend them continually. I enjoyed these so much. So really not a shock to see these 4 powders, and I would still consider all 4 of them a favorite. I only mentioned 2 blushes. The last year, blush typically is not my most favorite category, but I feel like for 2019 I would have a few more that I'd want to mention, but one that I put in there is the Jouer Blush Bouquet in Adore. I mean, it's one of my favorites. Again, I talk about it so much. I really enjoy this one, but definitely is still a favorite of mine. But the other one that I mentioned was from Flower Beauty, and this was the Flower Pots Powder Blush in Peach Primrose. I really did love this blush for a very long time. I recommended it over and over. It is a very long wearing blush. It's a really beautiful peachy color. I just don't really reach for this one. I used to be very much into only matte blushes. Like, I did not want my blushes to have like a hint of shimmer in it. I just preferred matte. And now I actually prefer a bit of shimmer with my blush. So I don't know if maybe that's what happened. I also don't wear peachy blushes as much anymore. I'm very like, I like a lot of neutral blushes, so I feel like maybe a combination of that is what did it, because I still like this formula and I still would recommend it, especially if you do like just a nice matte affordable blush. Again, I think they're very long wearing, but I've also ranked all my blushes recently and I wouldn't consider that one a favorite. For other powder products for the face, I did mention the Take Home the Bronze bronzer from the Balm. And yes, it's still a favorite. I'm actually trying to pan this one. It was in my 9 in 2019 Project Pan. I'm not doing a very good job, but I use this as a contour shade. It's a little bit cool toned, and I think that it's really beautiful. It's really nice. I recommended it so much throughout this year. I know so many of you ended up purchasing it, and I hear a lot of like your great feedback from it, which makes me really happy, but definitely still a favorite. And then also the Marc Jacobs Omega Tantastic Bronzer. Again, I ranked all my bronzers recently if you want just a big old recap of where everything falls into my collection, and the Marc Jacobs was real high up there too. I still really enjoyed this bronzer. I got a little bit out of control when it came to my favorite highlighters of 2018. I mentioned a whole lot of them. A lot of them are still my favorites though, so that's pretty exciting. But first up, I mentioned it from MAC. This is one of their Hyper Real Glow palettes. This is in Flash and Awe. This is more of the rose gold palette. Still really enjoy this palette. It's still like, I think this is a really nice highlight palette. The highlights in here are really soft and smooth and almost a little bit more on the creamier side. I think that it's really beautiful. There were so many highlights that came out in 2019 that I absolutely loved, but this one still holds a little something special for me. I think that this is a really nice formula. I also mentioned the one from Flower Beauty, which is the Shimmer and Strobe Highlighting Palette. I don't love this one as much recently. I did rank all of my highlighters and all of my face palettes. Again, I'll have that ranking playlist link down below if you want to catch up on any of those. This one isn't quite as much of a favorite, and actually I like the highlights in here still, but they're almost like too intense, and I like an intense highlight. I really do. But it's with this one, it's like you almost have to be so careful, otherwise you can wind up looking a little on the wild side. But it's a nice formula, and it's Flower Beauty. It's you know, a little bit more affordable. They're not like the most affordable at the drugstore, but they're also not considered high end. But that was the Flower Beauty. I did mention one from Ofra, and that was the Star Island highlighter, and I mentioned this palette here. This is the Glow Up palette, and Star Island is in here. This is how I first tried Star Island, and I fell in love with it. I also loved Ofra Pillow Talk, and I mentioned that video that I had actually mentioned Pillow Talk the year prior, so I just put Star Island in there, and still really enjoy that one too. And you know, 2019 was a really exciting year because I got to collab with Ofra, and I got to put together like my favorites highlight, which had Pillow Talk and Star Island in it. Like, how cool is that? Like what an exciting thing. And that was such an awesome experience. But Ofra does have really incredible highlights. You can buy them as singles. They have palettes, they have face palettes, and Pillow Talk and Star Island definitely continue to be a favorite. Also mentioned there from ColourPop, this is the Flexitarian highlight. Again, I'm actually trying to pan this one in my 9 in 2019 Project Pan. You can see that I've clearly not done a very good job. Very beautiful highlight though. I mentioned this in my affordable favorites also. Definitely still a favorite of mine. I think this is a great one. Same with the Pixi Beauty Delicate Dew highlight. These are really nice duos from Pixi. Mentioned them in the affordable faves. Still really loving on this one. Still definitely would recommend. Actually, the highlight that I'm wearing today is from Persona Cosmetics. This is their Cali Glow highlight in Zuma. So I have this in my Project Pan bag for December because it's such a beautiful highlight. It's still one of my favorites, but I feel like especially with all the highlights coming out, I haven't been giving it as much love, so that's why I pulled it into my Shop My Stash, but still definitely would recommend this from Persona. Last two that I mentioned, I have the Dose of Colors I Love Sarah E highlight in Bathe. This is a really beautiful pinky highlight. It looks really dark in the pan here, but it blends really beautifully on my skin, and at least for my skin tone, like when I first opened this, I was like, that's gonna be a no, and it looks really nice, and it still is one of my favorites. I have again, I have the highlight ranking video, but how I have my highlights stored, I kind of have them in like preference of how I like the highlights, and this one just kept going to the front and kept going to the front. I think that it's a great one. And then we have the Natasha Denona Super Glow. Still a favorite of mine. I have mine in Fair. Still love this one. Still think it's fantastic. Highly recommend. I also had quite a few eyeshadow palettes that I mentioned. I was trying to decide for 2019. Since I've already done my affordable favorites, I almost considered doing a separate video just for eyeshadow palettes, like the best eyeshadow palettes, or maybe even like the best and worst eyeshadow palettes. I don't know, let me know if you guys like that idea or if you would still like to continue to, you know, pretty much see everything all in one video. I don't know, let me know. But I definitely mentioned the Huda Beauty Obsessions palettes. I really enjoyed these. I've bought a lot of them myself. Definitely my favorites are the mauve, the warm brown, and the smoky. I didn't really love the ones from her gemstone collection, like the amethyst and I'm trying to think of the other ones that I have. Like I have the green one. I just didn't really love those as much, but these ones I still really do enjoy. I still would definitely recommend. And a lot of times when, especially when I'm traveling, because they're so small and just like easy to throw into the bag, a lot of times I still end up grabbing one of those because I do think that they're really nice. From ColourPop, I mentioned two different palettes. I have the Dream Street. This was in collaboration with Kathleen Lights. Definitely still a favorite. I still mention this one quite a bit. I did a video actually ranking all of my ColourPop palettes. It's from a couple months ago, so I've gotten some requests to do an updated one. So if you guys want to see that, let me know. But yeah, I ranked all of my palettes that I had at that time. Still really do love the Dream Street. And then also the Perception palette. This was in collaboration with Makeup Shayla. I still think that this is a really nice eyeshadow palette. I get a lot of use out of it still, and I just think that it's a good one. So wasn't too surprised to see those in there. From Anastasia, I had the Soft Glam. Also really wasn't surprised to see this either. I do like Anastasia. Sometimes her formula can be a little bit trickier to work with, but I still really enjoyed the Soft Glam as well. From Dominique Cosmetics, I had the Latte palette. I was really impressed with Dominique Cosmetics and the eyeshadow palette formula. I think that it's a really nice one. I also went on to purchase the Berries and Cream palette. I think that one's really good too. Still really enjoyed the Latte palette. Would still recommend the eyeshadow palettes to you. I also had on there from Stilazzi. I mentioned their eyeshadow palettes. I still really enjoy this Stellar one. This is more of their cool tone palette, which I still think is really pretty. Stilazzi didn't seem to release as much in maybe towards the end of 2019 or like the half of 2019. I feel like towards the end of 2018 they were really coming out with quite a few things, lipsticks and lashes, which their lashes are really good, their lip products, their eyeshadow palettes, and then they kind of went a little bit quiet, which can kind of be a tricky thing. I don't love when brands release a huge amount of products every single week like ColourPop does. I talked about that in my most recent Will I Buy It video and how it just gets so overwhelming, but it's almost one of those tricky things, like if you don't release enough, then it's not a good thing either. It's just kind of like that fine line, that fine balance, but I still really liked this palette. I still would recommend it, especially if you do like cool tones. They have a warm tone palette as well, but I really gravitated towards the Stellar. I also had on there from Dose of Colors. This was the Friendcation palette in collaboration with Desi and Katie. Still really enjoyed this one. I reached for this one quite a bit, like even off camera. I think this was a palette that I took with me on one of my trips. Maybe if it was like my Punta Cana vacation in February or something like that. But it's still such a pretty palette. You can layer the shades, and I just think that it's such a good one. And then the final palette that I had on there was the Urban Decay Born to Run. This really got a lot of attention when it first released. It has this really nice mirror. I remember taking this on my Las Vegas trip last year, celebrating a girlfriend's birthday and bachelorette party. This was the one that I took. You just have so many different options in here. Again, the mirror is really great to get ready in, especially when you have, what do we have, 6 girls in one hotel room, 1 bathroom. A little tricky. Gonna need a nice mirror on that palette. So I still really like this one. I haven't reached for it lately though. When I saw it pop up, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Like I remember putting this on my list, but it's been a hot second since I've used this palette, but still a good one. Moving over to some more eye products. For eyeliners, I mentioned the Milk Makeup Long Wear Gel eyeliners. I use these all the time. I think that they're great. Some of the best eyeliners out there. And then I also mentioned the Fenty Beauty Fly Liner. This was a liquid liner. I really did enjoy this. I used mine all the way up, and I've been trying some new eyeliners that I think are still really good, and I don't do winged liner as much. I used to do a lot of lashes, which meant a lot of winged liner too, and a lot of liquid liner. I just haven't as much lately, so I didn't feel like I had to go out and repurchase another one since I still have some in my collection, but I still would recommend it. I think that it was really nice. And then for mascaras, I mentioned the Maybelline Total Temptation mascara. This was one that I actually repurchased a handful of times, and I still think that it's a really nice mascara. When I saw it pop up on my list, I was like, huh, when did I stop repurchasing that? Because I think I repurchased it like 2, maybe 3 times or something like that. So I think it's really good. So that was a good reminder to me, like maybe the next time I'm shopping at Ulta or the drugstore or something like that, I could grab another one of those because I thought it was really good. And then the other 3 mascaras are the 3 mascaras that I talk about all of the time. The Nars Climax, fantastic. The Hourglass Caution Mascara, also fantastic. The Milk Kush Mascara, this is on my lashes today, fantastic. I've gone through all of these and I've either gotten them as like minis, point perks, things like that. I think that they're fantastic. I actually have another Hourglass in one of my recent Sephora orders. They had it as a like a point perk again, like a 100 point perk, the Hourglass Caution, and I was like, yes, because this one is technically in my empties bin. I just took it out to show you. Yay. YouTuber of the year. For lashes, I mentioned two different brands, Lily Lashes and also House of Lashes. Like I said, I'm not wearing lashes as much recently. I'm definitely just going with mascara more and more, which is kind of interesting because I was wearing false lashes even before my YouTube days. Like back in college, I always was obsessed with having super long, beautiful lashes. But really over 2019, I really cut back on wearing lashes as much. I still would recommend House of Lashes. They have a more affordable price point than Lily Lashes. Lily Lashes can get to like $25 a pair, which is very pricey. House of Lashes, I definitely really loved the Allure Light, and they're available at Ulta, so I definitely would recommend them over the Lily Lashes. I don't think I would consider Lily Lashes a favorite anymore. And then for some brow products, I actually mentioned the Covergirl Brow Pencil. Still one of my favorites. I want to repurchase this. For a while, my shade wasn't at Ulta, and I think it's now finally there. I think they added some more shades finally, because their Covergirl like micro fine brow pencil or something like that is really great. It's a really close dupe to the Benefit Precisely My Brow, which is, you know, just one of my favorites in general. I didn't even mention my Benefit brows in 2018 because I talked about them so much, especially, and they were in 2017's video, that I was like, no need, like let's talk about newer products. But definitely love the Covergirl. I also mentioned the Morphe brow pencil. I never went on to repurchase this one. It reminds me of the Covergirl. It reminds me of the Benefit Precisely My Brow, and I thought that it was a really good one, so I still would recommend that one. And then I also mentioned from MAC, this is their Shape and Shade brow products. This is so funny. I actually used something kind of similar today in my Chatty Get Ready With Me. It's the Urban Decay Brow Blade, where you have more of like this ink stain on one side, and I was kind of intimidated when these first came. I got this sent to me from MAC and I was like, I don't know how to use that, no. And it was watching Raw Beauty Christy use it, and she, like, her brows looked so good that I was like, I think I can do it. And I actually went on to really enjoy these. So yeah, I don't know if I would say this is an absolute favorite, because I think just my preferences now these days are just like a straight pencil, like the Precisely My Brow, the Goof Proof, something like that. That's definitely what I wear the most of. But I still think that these were really nice. Did have quite a few lip products, of course, as well. I mentioned the Lawless Beauty liquid lipsticks. Big fan of these. Continue to recommend them. They are pricey, so whenever I've bought in shades for myself, I've done it during like the Sephora VIB sale, or the Lawless website does run a lot of good discounts also, but still really continue to enjoy that formula. I also mentioned from Persona Cosmetics their liquid lips. They have really nice liquid lipsticks. Persona was a brand that I was definitely very impressed with. Definitely would recommend their liquid lips. From Ofra, I recommended the shade Pasadena. I said this was a favorite, and once again, it was really fun because with my Ofra collaboration, not only did we do the highlight, we did a favorite liquid lipstick set with 3 of my favorite shades, and Pasadena was one of those. So still highly recommend the shade. I feel like it would go good with this look today. I had 2 from Dose of Colors. I had Truffle, continues to be a favorite shade of mine, and also a Mauve Story. This one came out in collaboration with Desi and Katie, and this was, oh, what did they call these? They're velvet lips, I think. So it's not as drying of a formula as the liquid lips, but it's also not as long wearing. But I still really liked the formula. I think that like these days I still continually reach for Truffle. It still shows up in my purse and all of that, but a Mauve Story still was really pretty. I just don't know if I would say it's a favorite anymore. I had these 2 from Nars, and once I saw these on my list, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't reached for those in forever. It was the Velvet Lip Glides, and then also this one was the Full Vinyl Lip Lacquer in Santo Domenico, and this was such a favorite shade of mine at the beginning of the year. I would wear it so much. Actually, like, I did get good use out of it because I can see, I don't know if you'd be able to on camera because it's kind of faint, but like you can see indentations in here because I really did use it so often. It makes me want to pull this one back out because I really did enjoy it. I still do like the Velvet Lip Glides. This one kind of even trumped the Velvet Lip Glides. Again, it's the Full Vinyl Lip Lacquer. It just gave such like a you know, to the lips, like that kind of vibe. Definitely, that's what that one did. So those are my ones from Nars. And then I also mentioned from Fenty Beauty, this is the Uncuffed liquid lipstick. Again, would go great with this outfit today. I clearly really like my mauve, so what can I say? Still really enjoy this one too. I think that it's a really nice formula. It was very comfortable. And again, I really do like the mauve shade. So that was a lot of fun to look back at the lipsticks. I'm kind of scared of how many lipsticks I might recommend this year. All right, and after the lip products, those were all of my tippy top favorites for 2018. Revisiting all of them, letting you know my thoughts on them. Do I still love them? It was a little bit more split than maybe I was expecting to. Again, I just feel like some of my preferences changed throughout the years, or, you know, some things got dethroned and all of that. I'll definitely do another makeup dethroned video in 2020. I think I did one in 2018 and again in 2019. So I'll probably do one of those also, but I would love to know your thoughts on this video. I have so much fun with these. I think they're such a good time. Again, I'll have my 2018 video down below if you'd want to check it out. Visit a little blast from the past, Samantha, and stay tuned for my 2019 best of video. I'm really excited to share that with you guys. But thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope that you also consider subscribing before you go, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.